What's up YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of New Parents in Training. So our baby has been crawling everywhere and we have 2 floors. So we decided to get a gate since he's kind of still scared of going down floors. So we want to gate up the stairway before he decides to want to venture downstairs. So today I'm going to show you how to install this North States Y Easy Lock baby gate. So one of the reasons why we want to get this one is all the pressure one we have seen. Not only it damaged the structure wherever the pressure point is, but also they always have a bottom bar that's sticking out. That could be a tripping hazard. So we decided not to get one of those. Instead, we get the one that we have to drill to the side wall to make it so that it's just a gate by itself and nothing underneath that will be tripping anybody over. So this thing came in, you have the gates, the locking handles, side hinges, bag of screws, and a small tool. Of course, you have the manual. If you don't have this manual, you can always find it on their website. So the last item within this product itself is this template that you see here. They have one side for the handle and one side for the hinge. So to just make sure that you do have this. If not, then you can still install it, but it's just gonna take a lot more time, especially for the ones if you got a second hand and whatnot. So anyway, now that's what it came in the box. So the other item that you need to install this gate is that a stud finder to make sure that because this gate it has to go onto solid wood or metal, it cannot go into plywood or sheetrock. So you need to make sure that you actually drill into the place that it will hold the gate. Otherwise, it's going to be flimsy. Now you need rulers, a pencil that you can mark stuff with, and also a power drill if you have it. If not, a screwdriver is a must because you do need to drill the screw inside the wall. Now, a screwdriver definitely be able to work, but a power drill will just make everything much easier and faster. And also a vacuum. Like you definitely gonna have some wood shedding that will come down to the floor, so you might as well just vacuum it. So before we get started, don't forget to hit the like button and share it to people who might in need of this item as well. So the first step is to take out the assembly fitting that's on the gate itself because right now it's locked. The assembly fitting is this right here. There's one on the top, one on the bottom, holding by 4 screws, 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom. Now the reason why you want to take out this fitting right now is so that you can measure how far you want this to be apart. So when you come, 2 of this bar will lock into place, so it was kind of short. So if your stairway is much wider, then you have to extend it much wider. Now I think the maximum is 7 bars. As you can see right now, this will be just about right with a little bit of wiggle room. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 bars. So I'm just going to lock this into place. Okay, as you can tell, like this is not exactly fit. That's because on either end, you can actually adjust the last piece to kind of extend it out. So we will come to that point in a little bit. So right now, this gate is set for like so. So that's what it will be potentially look like. And now let's get the hinge and the handle on. Something very important before you start drilling holes on your walls is that you need to figure out where your gate is going to open to. Now, in our case, we can swing either left or right, but to your house layout, you might not be able to. Just to make sure, because once you start drilling, you cannot really go back, because then you will end up with a bunch of holes. Now, we just tested it out. We would like the gate to open this way, so the handle will be on this side and the hinge will be on this side. Now, depending on your layout, you might want to open this way, but we decided that it will be much easier if we swing this way. So that means the latch will be on this side. This is where you hold the latch. The gate will swing this way, and you walk up, and the gate will close this way. And same thing when you need to come out, the gate has to open this way and come out, and then it closes. Okay, so the floor design is a little bit weird. We have this little thing that's sticking out. So this part is actually missing, but on the other side, it has this as well. So I need to make sure that my hinge will start a little bit higher, because I want to both sides to be level. And so this is what I would do. I would start a little bit higher. Now, some of the tips I wanted to give you guys is if you have a second hand, maybe that second person can help out. Even if you do have a second person, I strongly suggest you to use tapes. As you can see, now I can hold this thing in place. Now, as you can see, this is actually hardwood. So I don't need to use a stuff finder to look for hardwood. I know this one I can drill into because this is actually really thick. Now, as I place this thing down, I watch out for the bottom portion. I need to make sure that on both sides, the handle and the hinge need to be level. Meaning that if I have something here, I need to make sure that my starting point is a little bit higher than where it's supposed to be. Because on the other side, the handle side has this thing on the bottom floor as well. So that needs to be raised a little bit. And also, once you take it here, make sure that there's a reason why they have this gap here. So just make sure that you actually leave yourself enough room to drill at least toward the center of the frame itself, so to get better support. As you can see here, I try my best to line up so that it's kind of centered to the whole wall itself. Right now, this is the best time to kind of double check on things. Measure twice, drill once, because once you start drilling, there's not really any more turning back. Now, here is where you're supposed to put your hinge. Now, before we start mounting the hinge, now this is what the hinge looks like apart, and this is what it looks like together. So the part that you actually need to mount on the wall right now is this part. Make sure you install this right side up instead of upside down. Now, you can also be referenced from the template itself. Just look at the shape of the hinge. This is how the first installation for the hinge will be. So you have to install this first before later on you install the top hinge as well. The two holes that you need to drill are already marked here, but obviously you cannot really put a hole without first put a hole into the template itself. So what I suggest you to do is maybe just poke through the hole first. So now that I have poked a hole through the template, I use a pencil and just kind of mark where the hole is. Okay, as you can see here, I clearly marked the two holes I need to drill for the top portion and two holes I need to drill for the lower portion. Now, one way you can double check your work is to put the lower hinge here. As you can see, the mark is clearly visible, and I'm not quite sure you can see it, but I can see the mark is right dead center into the hole for the lower portion. So that's for the top hinge, and the same goes for this lower portion as well. When you first get started, use a regular screwdriver to just kind of screw the nail into it a little bit. So it will kind of help you when you use a power tool. So we didn't actually film the actual drilling part, but the basic principle is you make a dent into the wall with a regular screwdriver. Once the screw is in a little bit, then you start using the power drill, if you have one, to drill the screw in. Now I have installed the top portion and the bottom portion here. Now what you want to do is you want to kind of test fit it to make sure you can actually put it inside with the gate. So as you can see from the bottom, it is in place, and then come to the top. As you can see, it's also in place. And kind of give you a general idea of what the final product will look like. You just put the top part on top, and that's what it will look like once you are finished with the whole installation. So let me work on the other side, the handle side. Okay, now to the handle section. Now this part you need to be careful. Unless you know where exactly the stud is or the thick wood is. So for the bottom portion, I'm not too worried because this is thick wood, just like on the other side. But for the top portion, I need to find where the stud is. So I use a stud finder. So I know from the bottom to the top. So this portion has a stud behind it. So as long as my handle is installed on toward the outside, then I'll be okay. So now let's take this over. So the tape is in place. Before we're going to start drilling, just make sure the stud is in the right place. Yeah, okay. Before we start drilling, make sure you use a pencil to mark the hole that corresponding to the template. So then you don't need to have the template here. And the hole is being marked here, and down on the bottom. Alright, so as I'm testing this, now if your gate is not on the top of the stair like us, then you can swing both ways if you want to. If you want to swing both ways, just make sure that you take out the back plate of the handle itself. So this can be taken out before you drill them to the wall. According to the company, if your gate is set up on the top of the stairs like us, then your gate has to open toward the room instead of to the stairs, because it's not safe this way. So make sure that when you're installing this gate, if you are not on the top of the stair, then you can swing either way, up to you. But if you're on top of the stair, it can only open to the room, not to the stairs. Okay, just make sure that when you set up the hinge, the back plate, this way will blocking the gate going to the stair. It will make the gate to go toward the room. Just make sure that you are actually set up correctly, otherwise it might be dangerous. So the handles are in. Now the process is down to test fitting. Okay, so this is taking a little bit longer than I expected, but just be mindful when you do the adjustment. What I did on the hinge side is that the top and the bottom is pretty much the same length in terms of the adjustment. So the last thing you need to do, this is just an example, the bottom already finished. You just slide the top part in, and then the two shorter screws, that's where they go. So you just kind of screw this onto it. So this part is done. So let's move on to the handle side. So I intentionally left this part to kind of show you how to do adjustment. So you can just twist this so you can extend out or retract. So the top portion I did much longer because this part has to be come up, and that's the only way I can do it after doing the adjustment. And the bottom part is so much shorter. So as far as for adjustment, once you set the right length that you want, make sure this thing needs to get all the way to tying up. And they provided you with a little tool that you can do the adjustment of. So this just make sure that it's actually tight. So now this is finished. You press and you lift, this come up. So as you can see here, everything is adjusted and is finished. And this is very sturdy. Even though there's a little bit of movement, that's just moving inside here. So yeah, all the hinge are not movable. And also the last thing I want to mention, remember what I mentioned before, this little bracket, because we are on top of the stairs. So the gate can only go inside, but not out. So this bracket here prevents the gate from opening outward. So that's it, folks. Hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share, and sub. Until next time, bye.